Welcome to the Asher Marketing Podcast. This podcast is hosted by Asher Agency, a comprehensive marketing partner for clients across the country. For more information, visit asheragency.com.
My guest is Kirsten Hamrick Hinkson. Did I get that right?
No.
Oh, how do you pronounce your name? We've only worked together for 18 years.
Hey, Kirsten, you got right, which is really the one where people most struggle.
Okay.
Kirsten Hamrick Hinkson.
Hinkson. I said Hinkston.
It was
I don't
something
know where
like
that came from.
That's okay.
Okay. Well, thanks for doing this.
You're welcome.
You've had the opportunity now for nigh upon 3 or 4 years, and Jenna, the esteemed Jenna, finally convinced you to be on the podcast.
Yeah, kind of. She was that final
Yeah, she does that. She's good at that.
That's true.
She's good at that. I can't convince anyone to do anything, and then here comes Jenna, and then the magic happens.
Not for nothing. I don't know that you've ever tried to convince me to do the podcast.
I don't know. I asked. Maybe not in a stern way, though. Not in a serious way.
That could be.
So you have a birthday coming up that will be past by the time this comes out in the world. But let's play with the space-time continuum and make believe that's not true.
All right.
So you're going to be 40.
40.
Okay. And you're going to Las Vegas to celebrate this event.
Indeed.
Are you going to do, is there anything specific that you're going to do, or you're just going to do all the things?
Yes to all the things.
Okay.
But we've been to Vegas a couple times because we got married. Ben and I got married in Vegas.
That's right. Yep.
So that was actually my very first time in Vegas.
By an Elvis impersonator, if I remember correctly.
We didn't.
Yeah.
It was just regular people.
Oh, it wasn't an Elvis thing?
I didn't do an Elvis.
Huh. Okay.
I was like, I'm the star of this show.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you don't want anyone to upstage you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I love Elvis, but it's mine.
Okay. All right. Okay.
So we are going, and we've never really done many shows. We saw Penn and Teller once, amazing, but I've never seen any Cirque du Soleil or anything.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do a Cirque du Soleil show.
Yeah.
And we're gonna do another comedy magic situation, which sounds exciting and fun. And other than that, kind of fly by the seat of our pants.
Well, sweet. Well, happy early and belated at the same time.
I like
40th
it.
birthday.
Thank you.
So let's talk about your career path, because you are unique. I think you are maybe the first person ever on the podcast who has spent your entire career at Asher Agency. That might not be precisely true.
Well, I mean, I had jobs.
Yeah.
Prior to Asher, but Asher is my only professional career, if you will.
Got it. Okay. So, but it's not where you were headed originally.
No.
Because I'm going to let you tell the story because I will botch it just like I botched your name. But you were originally thinking about education.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And was that true for a while? Like when you were a kid, I want to be a teacher someday.
I mean, it was kind of a thought.
Yeah.
When I was in high school, I did a lot of art stuff.
And that was here in Fort Wayne?
Yes and no.
Okay.
So I started high school in Texas,
Yep.
In Arlington, outside of DFW. And in the beginning of my sophomore year in high school, I was like, my dad lived up here.
Yep.
I lived with my mom in Texas.
Yep.
And I'm like, I love both of my parents. I don't feel like I know my dad as a parent. I should go just move and live with him and finish high school in Indiana.
Yeah.
So I did.
Interesting.
So I did graduate from high school up here.
Yep.
I did the majority of my sophomore, then through senior graduation here, and then went to college here at IPFW.
Yep.
And so when I was in high school, I was in a lot of arts programs. I was the Sterling Sentinel nominee for theater for my high school and stuff like that. And I wanted to go into theater teaching.
Okay.
Because that was something that I was really interested in. And fun fact, they got rid of my major.
Oh.
Literally, the semester prior to me starting college.
And that was before it was cool to get rid of majors.
I know. So they got rid of it.
Yeah.
And they were like, sorry, ma'am, you cannot be a theater teaching major. And I was like, interesting.
Okay.
So,
and how far along are you at this point?
Oh, I literally was in my first semester, and I got a message on my answering machine because let's age it. And they were like, ma'am, you did not attend the strike to this show. And as a theater major, that's a requirement. And I was like, hi, I'm not a theater major. I'm a theater teaching major. And they're like, oh, that's a problem because that doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I was like, time to pivot.
Yeah.
You have to do.
Yeah.
So when I graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Secondary English Education.
Yep.
Because I like words too.
Yep.
They
Sure.
go. So secondary English education with a minor in theater teaching because they kept that. And then an endorsement to teach middle school.
Okay.
And I started at Asher segueing in. When I was in college, I had a friend who was a previous coworker who ended up working here.
Yep.
And she knew that I wanted to get out of retail.
Yep.
And there was an opportunity, and she was like,
okay,
you should apply.
And what position was that, your first? Because you've worked a lot of different jobs at Asher. What was the first one? Was it a media job? Okay.
Yep, I was a media assistant.
Yep.
And essentially I was managing billing almost exclusively for the Hoosier Lottery and for radio. So we were doing a ton of stuff for them. So I checked invoices against orders and all that kind of jazz.
So your natural aptitude is theater and words and creativity, and now you're looking at spreadsheets.
Indeed.
Okay. So, and then you said, this is the life for me.
This is where it's at, baby.
Yeah. So how long did you do that job at Asher?
I probably did that for maybe a year.
Okay.
It might have been less. So I was in college when I started. And so I was working part-time and going to school, whatever. And then I moved into the time when I was going to need to student teach. And I would probably say I'd been here for, 6 months to a year, maybe or less. And I was like, oh, hey.
And your intent at that time was still like, hey, this Asher thing is nice, but I'm going to be a teacher.
Yes.
Okay.
And so I was like, hey, Tim and Tom.
Yeah.
I need to student teach. Yep. That's going to require me to be in a school during the majority of your business hours.
Yeah.
But also I do like working here.
Yeah.
Like, is there anything that we can do? And blessed to the Bornies, they were like, absolutely.
Oh, that's cool.
And they let me work outside of office hours.
Oh, wow. So
I would student teach all day.
Yeah.
And then I would grade, and then I would come here at like 4 p.m, and I would invisible hat tip to everybody when they left at 5:30, and then I would continue to work after hours and hang out with the cleaning people, and then I would leave at like 9 o'clock at night.
Wow.
And
I
so
think
I just did that
knew this at one point, but I'd forgotten all this. That's kind of cool. Yeah.
And then so I finished my student teaching, and the way that just my schedule and how that all worked is I graduated and finished my student teaching in December.
Yeah.
And December is not a grand time to get a teaching job. Everybody's still in the middle of the year.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I guess I'll just keep, doing this. And as opportunities move through and had it, they were like, hey, we have an opportunity with a full-time position opening up. It's doing media trafficking and different stuff, and you'd still be doing billing. Would you be, I know this isn't what you went to school for, but would you be interested in coming on to Asher full-time, salary benefits? And I was like, salary benefits? Place I don't mind working. Sure, why not?
Yeah. And were you still thinking, someday I'll teach? Or was it that at that point you were like, yeah, maybe not?
Well, it was one of those where, as the climate of things happen, the educational system was getting rid of a lot of arts programs. Things were losing funding.
That's when it was cool to get rid of programs.
Indeed.
Yes.
Unfortunately. And a lot of the arts programs were the first programs to go. And there was a lot
so you saw less of yourself there.
Yeah. And it just seemed like the opportunities that I was really interested in doing in education were dwindling. And there was a lot more pressure being put on teachers unnecessarily, in my opinion. And so I enjoyed the culture here at Asher. I liked the people I worked for. And so I just thought, you know what? Maybe this is what I should do for a while. And I figured if all else fails, if I don't like it, I can go teach. But as we now know, I've been here for
half your life.
Oh, this will be 19 years.
Yeah, wow.
And that's wild to me.
Yeah. So you did stuff in the media realm for how long?
Probably maybe close to 5 years.
5 years. And then what did you do next?
So I was doing media trafficking and also billing and also a little bit of buying. And that was a time when I was like, okay, so here's the deal. I'm much more of a people person and a words person than a numbers person. So what do we do to get me into a role that better serves me and will better serve the agency? more effectively. And so that's when I moved in. I was doing, like I said, I started with a lot of stuff with the lottery.
Yep.
And lottery was really busy. And the AE for the lottery, the Quitter, Brian the Quitter.
The first guest ever on this podcast.
Bless, Brian Englehart.
Yes,
Shout out.
yes,
Love
yes.
you. So since he had left,
Yep.
we needed somebody to do the lottery stuff. So I became the account executive for the Hoosier Lottery.
Okay.
And so I was doing all their other stuff, so it made sense for me
Yeah.
to also do that side of it.
Yeah.
And then after the lottery, I moved into a supporting role for Subway
Okay.
because it was so robust and
Yep.
the AEs needed a lot of help on the back end, and
Yeah.
not for nothing, I am organized.
Yep.
And so I was able to help them with those kind of things.
Yeah.
And that's how I kind of moved out of media and into
Okay.
that role.
Okay.
And then same kind of situation. The production manager at the time was very overwhelmed,
Yep.
had a lot of stuff going on and needed
Yeah.
help. And I had bandwidth.
Yeah.
And so they said, Kirsten, would you be interested in assisting in production?
Yep.
And I thought that production itself seemed very interesting, like the printing of things, getting more into like the art side and
Yeah.
tangible goods. It seemed appealing.
Yeah.
And so I was like, absolutely, I can help out. And it seems interesting and a new thing to learn. And then when the current production manager was ready to leave and move away, I moved in.
Okay. And so that's what you're doing today.
Yes.
So for those who may not be familiar with what those terms mean,
Yeah.
what does your job entail?
So my title is production manager.
Yep.
And so what that is I manage pretty much anything that's tangible that needs
Yeah.
to be made for any of our clients. So that could be a brochure, it could be a billboard, a t-shirt.
Yep.
So those are really like the print production things. And also with that, I've kind of started to work more in the additional production areas where, since we've introduced videography and
Yep.
things like that, and we're doing those internally on a more robust level.
Yeah.
Because of the theater background and a lot of those other things, it's really kind of lent into doing essentially production assistant work
Yeah.
on commercial shoots and different things like that. So
Yeah.
that's been really fun to move into that as well.
And informed by the many roles you've played at Asher. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. That's cool. So how much, because you've been doing that job now for
Like 12 years.
how has that changed during that time? Is it true to say less volume on the print side during that time?
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like print has reduced
Uh-huh.
in the course of time, but I feel like it's also evolutionary depending on clients.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes we've been in a position where we have clients that are very, very, very print heavy.
Yeah.
And other times when we have clients that are more light on print.
Yeah.
And so it kind of varies.
Yeah, it's almost. I almost see it, and you're the brains of all that. So tell me if this is wrong, but it's almost the inverse of what happened with video. There was a time when video was really rare. It wouldn't happen a lot. So when it happened, it needed a lot of caretaking. But now video happens kind of all the time, and there are projects that are higher priority that need more attention, but there's constantly something going on. Print used to be there's constantly something going on, they're a higher priority. But now it's like when people print something, it's kind of special and it needs more of that attention to detail that you can give it. Is that true or am I just full of hooey?
I would say neither.
Okay.
In that you're not full of hooey, but like there is more of a niche use.
Yeah.
I feel like certain clients in certain industries utilize print a lot because
Yeah.
it's needed. For instance, in healthcare clients, you need brochures.
Yeah.
You need tangible print pieces to
Yeah.
be able to hand to somebody
Yeah.
so that there's no barrier for technology.
Yep.
I think a lot of people are like, why do you need to print something? It's on the internet. Well, not everyone has access to the internet.
Yeah.
And there's lots of different reasons why sometimes it's easier just to be able to hand something to somebody.
Yeah.
Or when you're talking about the specialness,
Yeah.
I think print is, and especially now, I feel like it's moving more into print is a luxury piece. You know, if you want to show someone special and make someone feel excited, like you can do a really cool print thing. And also like print has evolved a lot in that you can do a lot more special stuff for less money now,
Yeah.
which is cool.
Yeah.
Like on the digital print side, digital print used to be really basic. You'd think like Xerox copier,
Yeah.
bing, bing, bing.
Yeah.
But like now you can do metallics and neons
Yeah.
and all, and like clear coating.
Yep.
And you can do all of those things in line in a digital press, which is super cool.
Yeah.
And those are just things that weren't available before, or you'd have to do them in like big old runs and like full press. And not for nothing, when I moved into the print production role, I did not have a background in print, obviously. But much like my background in education, I feel like it's an opportunity to be like a lifelong learner.
Yeah.
Every day we can learn something new, and there's always new and exciting things to find out about.
Yep.
And I feel like print very much for me moving into that was that.
Yeah.
The amount of different paper companies and like types of paper you can get and things that you can do to like take something that's very simple and make it very high end is cool.
Which is pushing all your crafty buttons
yes,
too.
Yes.
Nice. And your work out of necessity is very collaborative with the designers, your Sean's, your Chris's, your Emily's, your Jen's. Yeah, you got because you have to anticipate what the print product is going to be as they're designing, right?
Let's take a moment to talk about something that can revolutionize your business. Branding with Asher Agency. Ever wonder why some companies just stick in your mind? That's the power of great branding, and it's exactly what Asher delivers. Visit asheragency.com for more info.
Yeah, and I think when we talked about, I've worked in lots of different departments at the agency. I think that is really helpful in the print production role because I am, and I will tell people, a glorified middle person. You know, I do a lot of facilitating. I take information in from a lot of different parts and pieces, and then I use that to get the output and to make sure we track and we get exactly what we want when we need it and all that jazz.
Yeah. A lot of the work you do makes it seem seamless, but there's a lot of work that goes into making it seem seamless.
Right.
It's like when it arrives on time on someone's doorstep, it seems like that just happens, but takes a lot of work.
Right.
Yeah. So what are some of your, this is a put you on the spot question because I didn't prepare you for this one. What are some of your favorite tangible things that you've worked on? Can you name any? Any come to mind?
I can think of like some challenging ones.
Okay.
But I feel like I really enjoy, as much as it's like not a real creative heavy, I love a promotional good. You know, maybe it's because I like, I don't know, stuff.
Yeah.
But like I love a tote bag. I like to be able to see what we can do with branding for different clients and like what kind of assets different clients could utilize and would be good to market them.
Yeah.
I think those are kind of fun.
Yeah.
Recently, we've did and are currently doing a big project for our client Pizza Factory.
Yep.
And it's their, speaking of anniversaries or whatever, I believe, I have to fact check me.
Yeah.
I believe it's their 40th anniversary this year. And so
they share a birthday with you.
I know, right?
Yes.
40. We're just cyclical. We're bringing it all together. If it's 50, my bad. That's not my age. But we've been doing all sorts of really cool stuff, both for them to utilize internally and also externally for their clients. We've done really cool custom cornhole boards.
That's cool.
Yeah. Tote bags, just all sorts of different pickleball paddle sets, stickers, temporary tattoos.
You do like
magnets.
stickers.
I do like a sticker.
Yeah. So it's the tangible stuff.
I think it's fun.
Yeah. It is fun. I know a project that you were part of recently was a view book for Indiana Tech. And it's kind of rare that you like, wow, here's a tangible thing that we did because so much of it is digital. So I see where that's coming from. So you've been at Asher for 19, close to 19?
It'll be 19, like I think in November.
Why have you stayed at Asher? I have my answer because I've been here for 20 plus, but I want to hear why what is it that makes you say, yeah, this is a good place for me to be?
I think it's the climate of Asher. And when I say climate of Asher, I mean the people and the manner in which people take care of you and consider you as a person and not just an employee or a number or an output of work, but as a literal human being. And Asher's willingness to be flexible according to your life.
Yeah.
And people that truly feel like your coworkers and the managerial people at Asher care about what's going on with you beyond what you do for them as an output for work.
Yeah, it's not just transactional. And I would second that. I think we have good humans.
Yeah.
On any given day, I think this is almost always true that nobody comes in with the intent of making anyone's day worse. It's usually the opposite.
Yeah.
It's how can I help? What can I do?
Absolutely.
And I've worked places where that wasn't true, where people would come in. It's like, how can I make everyone miserable today? So that shouldn't be unique, but yeah, it does happen. Well, that's a good answer.
Corporate culture, would that we call that?
Yeah, I mean,
that's a buzzword.
I do like the fact that in my experiences, everybody puts on a little bit of a mask when they go to work, right? But I think it's less that here.
Yeah.
Where I feel like I'm kind of myself.
Yeah.
It's not always full on because I have to be a grown up and do grown up things, but I don't feel like I'm a completely different person at work at all. And I think, one of the things I've always said is that the great thing about Asher is I think everyone feels like they can be themselves. The challenge is you are inevitably going to run into people different than you. And I think that's a plus.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
it can be a challenge. But everybody's kind of themselves. At least I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's good. Especially for weirdos like you and me who wouldn't always find that somewhere else.
Right.
So yeah. Okay. So let's pivot to a few quick hit questions. This is where we take all the wisdom you've shared and synthesize it down into digestible nuggets. So,
I love a digestible nugget. Thank you.
Okay. With some nice sauces, some dips and sauces.
I love a dip.
A dip and a sauce.
Bless.
Yep. Okay. So what is your career advice? I think it's safe to say that you didn't want a conventional career. You didn't want to go to a corner office and wear a suit and follow a lot of rules.
Valid.
Right? There are probably young people today who want the same thing. What advice do you have in terms of building a fulfilling and successful career? It doesn't only have to apply to folks who maybe don't want what a lot of people think you should want, but what's your best career advice?
I think making sure wherever your chosen career is going to be, that they appreciate you as a human being and treat you as such.
Yeah.
I think that is super important in general, whether you're doing exactly what you were like, this is my dream.
Yeah.
I think sometimes people find that job, whether it's a creative one, whatever, and they're like, oh, this is the job I want to do.
Yeah.
But then like the company that they're doing that for, like, for lack of a better term, does not love them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think putting yourself first and being able to make sure that like your mental and physical health and all of that is good is like number one in my opinion.
Yeah.
I know that has nothing to do with the actual job part.
No, but it's really important advice, especially how much damn time you spend at work.
Not for nothing, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like obviously we've both been at Asher for a long time and we've gone through many different, if you will, versions of Asher, you know, seasons of Asher.
Yep.
And I feel like, at least for me, this specific one really feels good when you talk about that like workplace enjoyment.
Yeah.
Like I truly feel like 9 times out of 10, if not more, I love the people that I work with.
Yeah,
you know?
Sure. Yeah, and I think it's it's true that you don't have to be best friends with everyone you work with, but I genuinely have an appreciation for everybody who works at Asher.
Yes.
One way or another, right? There's certainly people that I spend less time with.
Yeah.
But it's like I either super value what you do, even if I don't know you, or even if I didn't know what you did, I would still value you as a person, right? And for many people, it's both of those things.
Yeah.
And I think the key takeaway from that is just what you said, in that you should believe that you deserve that.
Yeah.
And it might be rare. I don't know. Maybe it is. But I think you and I are probably alike in that as long as we were working with good humans and we knew our role and felt like we were tapping into our unique knowledge, skills, and talents, and as long as we felt like it wasn't just transactional, we'd be happy pretty much anywhere.
Yeah.
And while that sounds pretty simple, there's not a lot of places that do that.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah.
Because I mean, there's like, oh, you want to like love what you do and all that stuff. And like, I do very much like what I do.
Yeah.
But I feel like sometimes when people want to make a job out of your hobby, then your hobby's less fun.
Yeah.
And so I feel like if you can find an employer or a place for you to work and create a career that cares about you as a human being, is willing to grow and pivot and work with you as you progress and mature in your existence. Because obviously I started at Asher at 21. Wow. And now, exactly right.
Yeah.
And now, obviously, we're talking about that I'm like bouts to turn 40.
Yeah.
So like those are very different times in your life.
Yeah.
And
that's a really good point.
I feel like if you're doing it right, you're very much the same person, but also a very different person at 21 versus 40.
Yeah.
And I think that what is kept me here is that we've talked about, I've pivoted a million different places and found different roles that fit me at those different times.
Yeah.
And if Asher wasn't willing to work with me and to grow with me, then I wouldn't have grown with them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, that's really great. And, and that whole seasons of life thing, I never really appreciated it until you said it. Like when my son was very young, I felt comfortable when he was running the halls of Asher, right? I felt like he was welcome here. There wasn't like, who brought the kid in? So, and I feel like for the different seasons of my life, while I'm significantly older than you, it has worked for those different times. That's really good. I almost want to stop there. That was so good. Okay, but I'm not going to stop there. What do you think is a myth or misconception about the work you do as a production manager, or about Asher, or about the marketing world in general, a myth that you think needs to be busted or disabused? People need to be disabused of the notion.
I would say if we're talking about a myth globally for advertising and marketing as a whole, I would say that I think that a lot of people, I don't know always, but I feel like they think that it's like false. Yeah. Like we're trying to sell snake oil or something. Like, oh, you work in advertising? Oh, you just like say whatever you want about things to make people buy stuff? And I'm like, no.
In a recent Gallup poll, I was pointed toward this by Mike Fulton.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a pop quiz. This is a study of credibility of different professions.
Oh, crap.
Advertising. What do you think percentage-wise Americans believe that advertising has high or very high ethics and honesty? What percent do you think?
Oh, golly.
Yeah.
I'm going to go low. I would think like 20.
20 is a good guess, but it's too high.
Oh,
8%.
Crap.
8%. So yes, so there is definitely a perception that it is all a bunch of bull crap.
And I feel like it can be.
Can be. Yeah.
Like if that's the kind of advertising company that you work for.
Yeah.
But at least I feel like with our clients, generally we're just highlighting the best parts of them.
Yeah.
Or, explaining why they're helpful. Or why they can, or help them grow.
Yeah, kind of like shining a light on this isn't appreciated by everyone who should appreciate it. You've made another really good point.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the reasons I genuinely enjoy working with the clients I work with, because I'm like, they're doing really good things in the world.
Yeah.
I'm just helping them tell that story.
Exactly.
And I don't feel like I need to make stuff up.
No, it's not a false narrative. And I might, mind you, especially with all like the influencers and things like that, in any area, you're going to have people that are genuine or disingenuous. You're just gonna.
Sure.
So like when I'm talking about influencers or people in advertising or marketing, you're going to have people that will be like, yeah, I'll take your money and say whatever you want, even if your product is crap or whatever. And, you can lack integrity and advertise and market for something, or you can say this product or this company is awesome, and I get the opportunity to explain to you why they are so good.
Yeah. That's really great. Wow, you're 2 for 2.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. All right, there's one more.
Oh, gosh.
What is a tool that you use as part of your work? Could be analog, could be digital, doesn't matter. Something you use that helps you get the job done that you think deserves a shout out.
Shout out to lists. Paper lists.
Paper lists. Let's hear about paper lists. I am very anti-paper for list making.
I love paper.
So why do you like paper?
I like, and maybe it's that like artsy craftiness of me. I love the physical act of like writing notes down. Like when we have a lunch and learn, I like to take a note. You know, I might not go back to those notes, but I feel like it helps me engage. It makes me remember the important takeaways. And then from my everyday life, I know that we certainly work a lot in a digital forum. A thing we didn't talk about that I do a lot of is work with project management and internal processes and procedures within the agency. And then also doing trainings on those things. I think that's a little bit of that teacher stuff.
Yeah, sure.
They're like, would you like to make a handout and talk to the class? And I'm like, indeed I do. And I will. I feel like writing things down is super helpful. For me, I know we use, for instance, Trello for a lot of our project management stuff.
Many better than I do, but nevertheless,
we can't all be 100% at everything, bud.
I wanted that on the record.
On the record. It's on there.
Sorry, I digress.
No, you're fine. So because we have lots of stuff with all of the details all in digital form, I still write that shiz out. On paper.
Yeah. Well, there is science that is well beyond my understanding that says just the tactile thing of writing it down makes a difference. And another place where I really like note-taking on paper is as a tool to show someone you're listening to them. That even if you're only taking notes for them, it's like, oh, they're
actively engaged.
They care what I say. So, all right. Well, a shout out to paper.
Shout out to paper.
We've
I love a checklist.
Come this far. Paper, checklists, and lists. All right.
I've been known to make a list of a list.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Like you got a big list, and then you break that down to sub-lists.
Yeah. I do love my checklists.
Checklists are great. Crossing something off, chef's kiss.
And I think checklists are underutilized. It's like if you're going to do it more than once. I heard a great quote. The person said, this doesn't really have to do with checklist, but
that's
bear
okay.
with
Go
me.
on.
They said, a mistake made twice is a choice.
Snap.
Because I don't know how we got there. We've taken a journey here. All right, should we wrap this up?
Sure, why not?
Well, thank you for doing this.
You're welcome.
I appreciate Jenna finally convincing you to do
Appreciate it.
So shout out to Jenna. But thanks. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And happy, simultaneously early and belated birthday.
Time is fun.
Well, on that note, thank you very much to everyone who took the opportunity to listen to this episode of the Asher Marketing Podcast. We'll be back next time with another great guest whose name I hopefully pronounced correctly. And we hope you'll join us then.
Appreciate you.
Thanks for joining us today. Next time, we'll be featuring another great guest, so be sure to tune in. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to our show and leave us a review. It really helps others find us. Visit our website at asheragency.com for more resources and updates.